Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Cabinet meeting on a rainy, grey day. But many people have been looking forward to some rain, so let it continue for a little bit longer. But then it has to stop, and the sun needs to come out again for about a month. Today we begin in the normal way with asking for apologies for absence, and I know that we have Councillor Oliver and Councillor Riddle. Are there any others? No? Okay. Then we move on to the minutes of the last meeting, which took place on the 8th of July, which I will sign as a true record after this meeting. If you're all happy with that, can you show?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. The members' interests and the disclosure of them are there for you, and any interests that haven't been declared need to do so right now. If not, we'll press on. So the first agenda item this morning is around Advanced Northumberland and the financial restructuring of that arm's length company. You will recall, those of you who were in the last council, that in March we looked in considerable detail and at great length around how we wanted to move forward with Advanced Northumberland to make sure that it was a viable, well-run and profitable company that served the interests of the council and residents in the best way. And Advance has been very successful in recent years, and I applaud that. What we said, though, was that we wanted to see a refresh of the board. We wanted to see a clear 5-year plan of action and what was proposed to be done. And all of those have been completed. And we welcome a new chair of the board. And we also thank the previous chair, who was Jeff Reid, for whom we have a large debt of gratitude to give for the service and the dedication that he played in leading the board forward. So this takes us to today. I think if I just kind of repeat pretty much what I said in March, which is that we want to see Advance freed of the burden of the historic debt. The reasons for that debt I don't need to go into, but the debt is there, and that has caused unnecessary reining back of some of the ambitions of the company. So through this procedure that we agreed in March, we will see the company being able to devote much more time and effort into those things that we want it to, freed of that, a large part of that historic debt. That will include the building of more homes, and which it is very good at, the building of more affordable homes, which is something that is one of our key priorities, as you know. And it will also allow the opportunity to start investing in sheltered housing for older people and children's homes. This is something we want to see happen. And in fact, in a later paper, you'll see that we already are building up an Invest to Save case to construct more local homes for children who are either cared for or have special needs of one kind or another. Currently, we send children to the far ends of the country, in some cases, to London, to Scotland. Not only can that be harmful, I think, to those particular children in many ways, but it's also incredibly expensive, costing us tens of thousands of pounds in some cases every month. And that's got to stop. So we want to see accommodation built and prepared for as much as we're able to going forward. And I think the other thing that's really important is that Advance want to see improvements made to Manor Walks, which is at the base of this issue, so that it will become more commercially viable and it will become potentially more valuable. So that is what this business case is around. And I would just finish by saying that very soon now, we will be cutting the earth on a £10 billion investment in Camas. Now, that hasn't just happened. The Blackstone QTS investment came entirely as a result of land preparation by Advanced Northumberland, led by Richard Wearmouth as chairman, to prepare a site that would be one day the most attractive site in the UK for this kind of investment. So what's happened? We have got that investment and we've got that money, and we've got, out of that deal, we have negotiated £110 million of an investment fund which will allow us to support business and jobs across the county for years to come. So let's not be in any doubt about the value of Advanced Northumberland. Advanced Northumberland has been a real strength for us. We want to make it even stronger. We want to put effectively our arm around the shoulder of Advance and say, let's do this together and be even bolder and even better going forward. So there are a number of recommendations with this paper, Cabinet, and I'm proposing those recommendations. Is there a seconder? Yeah. Are you all in favour of those? Are there any questions? Yeah, I'm coming to that. I just wanted to check if we're all in favour. Yeah. So now I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Leader. No questions, but just some bits to add in terms of commentary. This is, of course, as you say, it's an action that was agreed by the last full council. This is effectively honing the detail that was always intended to follow. The purpose of Advance is to regenerate our communities, but it's hampered by previous decisions taken by the last Labour council prior to 2017 in terms of that, where it became effectively a vessel to hold assets, and it was a big sort of change for the company in terms of the purpose. We want to get it back from owning stuff instead to focusing on proper regeneration. So these actions today will help the company to invest in projects like the Hurst regeneration work, like the town centre development redevelopments that are going on across the county, and to develop, as you've picked up in part there, more industrial land so that we can look to achieve the next big thing after that data centre, because we're an incredibly ambitious council, incredibly ambitious county. This does set the course for the council potentially being able to sell manor walks in the future, or enter into some form of other arrangement so that it is effectively and in the longer term removed from our books, and that would be a positive thing. It was working perfectly well in the private sector, and that's ultimately where it should be in the future. Councils do not need to run shopping centres if they can possibly avoid it. Can I just echo your huge thanks to Jeff Reid? He's been an exceptional chairman in the last number of years. He started the regeneration company when we went through local government reorganisation. He's ended up finishing the job and putting it back to where it should be as a regeneration company fit for purpose for the years ahead. And we look forward to working with Andrew, the new chairman, who is of course a member of the board currently, and demonstrated a great knowledge and expertise in terms of how he's performed to date. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions or queries or thoughts on this? If not, we've taken the vote, so that's great. We'll move on now to agenda item 5. This is the Northumberland line. I'm afraid it's me again. I wrote to the Secretary of State for Transport about two subjects last week. One was to express our grave concern around the actions of government around the A1. And I was heartened to see that the Mayor, with whom we work closely, very much agrees that the A1 should not be allowed to be lost in terms of the dualling projects. So hopefully very much we will see it come back to the table, and the purpose of the letter to the Secretary of State was just that, to say that we must not allow ourselves to just forget this. We must continue, no matter how big the setback, to fight for the A1. The second one I wrote was to ask her for some more carriages. And interestingly, the process for adding carriages to a railway is not as simple as somebody picking up the phone and saying, have you got any spare carriages? Can we buy them and can we have them delivered tomorrow? Quite the opposite, in fact. It requires a huge bureaucratic process, which I'm sure is absolutely necessary, but it does seem inordinately bureaucratic. We know that actually there are some carriages sitting in Wales that would fit the need that we have, which is around ensuring that we make the Northumberland line, which has been far, far more successful than anyone even imagined, even more capable of taking those passengers who want to use it. So the purpose of my letter was to say, please, can we expedite extra carriages quickly for the Northumberland line so that we don't see a situation where demand outstrips the supply of seats. So that's where we are now, and it is a great success story. We've seen over 500,000 journeys since the middle of December, and if that continues, and we have every reason to think it will, especially with all the stations being up and running soon, then we could meet our millionth passenger within the next 6 to 9 months. So who knows how successful we will become on this. So we need these extra carriages. We need to build on the success that we've had so far. I also think it's worth noting how much CO2 will have been saved and how environmentally helpful this service has been if you consider how many car journeys have been saved by people using this excellent service. So there's lots of pluses to this. So we're nearly at the end of the line in terms of the project. We have got Bedlington Station almost finished. We then have to go through the rail regulator inspections, which can take, unfortunately, a number of months, but that's out of our hands. But that's where we are. Bedlington, Bedside is nearly ready to go. And we've got Northumberland Park. Northumberland Park is the end of the line in terms of its meeting up with Tyneside and the conurbations there. And it is also where the linkage between the Northumberland line and the metro system takes place. Therefore, it's only right that because it's actually in North Tyneside, that we ask for a contribution from NECA. And I do welcome the enthusiasm of the combined authority in discussing and supporting this. And we had a discussion about this yesterday, and they are absolutely fully in favour of finding some money towards this. So I'm really grateful to my fellow leaders on NECA and also to the Mayor. Grateful to the government for continuing to support the work that we're doing, and also to note the fact that we are finding money within the County Council in order to do this and find this final payment. So this is a great success story. I'm incredibly pleased that we had the courage and the commitment and the ambition as a Conservative council to get this done. We faced serious criticism at the time, and I dare say we might face criticism again in the future, but we will not be deterred from the commitment and ambition we show as an administration. And this is proof that it does work if you keep your nerve, build partners around about you, and have the courage of your convictions. The end result is that people benefit, and that's what's happened here. So there are a number of recommendations in here, Cabinet, and I'm formally proposing those, seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. I'll take a vote first, and we'll take any questions or queries. Are you all in favour, please? You all in favour? Thank you. So, any points or clarification or questions anyone has about this brilliant project? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Leader. You said this was the end of the line, but we are more ambitious than that, yes. And we would like it to keep on going to Newbiggin and the Alcan site and all of these places. And hopefully this is just the start of the improvement of rail infrastructure in the county. We know we've got other things floating around, better services on the line to Carlisle, we really want better services on the East Coast Main Line, new stations at Belford, for example. But there's also things like the Northumberland Coast Loop, which is talked about, often about bringing some of these old freight lines back into commercial use, which takes pressure off the main East Coast Main Line, which opens up a world of opportunity for rail infrastructure in Northumberland. And as much as we want the A1 to be dualled, and I've written to the Secretary of State, and everyone should write to the Secretary of State because the deadline is the 12th of September to do that, people at home. If the new government have said that's not going to happen, why not put some money into our railways instead? Because, you know, we need to do something. There are millions of people coming to Northumberland now that never used to come, so we really need to get our transport infrastructure up and going.
Dead true. So this government are very keen on this idea of growth, and growth can only take place if you have people in jobs, and entrepreneurs wanting to set up business, and that's the atmosphere that we want to continue to work in, and that is how you get growth. You don't get growth by cutting expenditure on vital infrastructure. You invest in infrastructure, as you quite rightly say. So the end of the line in terms of this particular section, end of the line, typical, the end of the line is actually in Newcastle, but you are dead right. We are looking to see if we might extend it in due course, perhaps to Newbiggin. And that is a project that we're looking at right now. And you're dead right, we need to invest in roads. I thought you were going to mention Chathill Station there for a minute.
I'll shoehorn that in at some other point.
Yeah, I thought you might. Okay, so thanks for that. Anything else from anyone? Yes, please.
Thank you, Leader. Additional carriages would be a very welcomed addition to the line, mostly for those on match day. For some reason, people want to go to St James's Park. I can't figure it out, but that's that. People have been asking for that since the station opened, because immediately it was abundantly obvious just how popular this was. People in the Seaton Valley area and up and down the line have been waiting for this for over 60 years, and we are the ones that delivered that in conjunction with the government. This line doesn't just, as you've already pointed out, bring development to the area and so on. It provides something that has not been there for a lot of the smaller villages within Seaton Valley for a very, very long time. Being able to get your children to a different college where they can actually opt for subjects that are not available in school, that for a parent to be able to say, my child can actually do what they want to do instead of being shoehorned into something that is second best. Incredible. People can get to jobs. People are not having to move out of the area anymore because they're able to get on the train. Their family support network is around them. I even have it on good authority that some people are using it in order to get to NSEC Hospital because it's just a short cycle away. So for that side of it, it's incredibly popular. This was not the white elephant that some people said it was going to be. And those additional carriages would just be the cherry on top.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly when the best team in the country are playing at St James's Park, those carriages are pretty full. We've got to make sure that we get everybody there in order to see us beat Liverpool. Okay, anything else? No? And Sunderland, by the way. Thank you very much. That moves us on to a really important paper for us, just to demonstrate, if we can, again, just how important it is for us to be investing, not just in rural areas, not just in the villages and towns, but also in key towns like Ashington, which, let's face it, have been left by the wayside. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Like Blythe, which is getting huge investment, Ashington is as well. I'm going to ask Councillor Wearmouth, who's the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Supporting Business and Opportunities, to tell us more about it.
Thank you, Leader. So I'm delighted to be able to bring this paper which agrees the funding for the new cinema at Ashington finally. It has been a wait that has been a little bit longer than we would have anticipated, complicated by the COVID pandemic, by cost inflation and the immediate aftermath of the pandemic and so on. But here we are now able to get started on this, which is a third major intervention in terms of regeneration in Ashington, you could say. We have the new college that's being built that we helped enable alongside the last Conservative government that sanctioned the funding for that project, bringing a huge number of young people into the town centre instead of being stranded on the edge. We've delivered the station, which we've mentioned in the previous report, which has been a huge change for Ashington and Ashington Town Centre. It's seen a significant amount of additional footfall in the town already, and this is the third part of that, is the delivery of the cinema. It's really good to see that we have an operator, Real, who've committed to a very long lease. It shows that they have confidence in the town and its future, which is brighter than it has been for a very long time. Undoubtedly, there will be those that would like to see more shops and so on come to the town centre. That will no doubt come in due course in one way, shape or form. Town centres are changing, and the reason that we're delivering a cinema here is because we recognise that. We recognise that town centres are places where people are going to spend time and dwell more, that might be a bit less orientated towards shopping, going to be much more leisure orientated. This helps deliver that. In addition, there are a number of other parts to this project, which I won't go right through all of them, including some significant improvements to public realm around the station. You will recall, if you've parked in that station car park historically and walked into Ashington town centre, it was well, it stank basically. let's not mince our words. It was the odour hit you. There was significant room for improvement, leader. Yes, and the demolition of One Spec Square and the improvement works that will be enabled as part of this funding package will help create the entrance to Ashington that Ashington deserves for all of those people who are getting off the train and getting on the train as well. Heartily endorse all of the recommendations in this report, and Ashington will now go from strength to strength.
Thank you very much indeed. I think the pleasing part of this report is that it hits on the three priorities, all of them in an equal way. I think this is around making the town better in terms of attracting business and tourism. It makes it better in terms of tackling inequalities, and it shows that we are providing value for money through our council tax, that we are very heavily involved in investment here. So you've proposed those recommendations? Yes, okay, and seconded by Councillor Mather. Are you all in favour, first of all? Yes, thank you. So any questions, queries, comments? Yes, please, Councillor Patterson.
I'd just like to say how much I think the Portland Park Cinema will mean to the people of Ashington. I had the pleasure of being in Blythe 2 weeks ago at the Market Pavilion Cinema, and that complex is just wonderful. And the people of Blythe really turned out to celebrate it. So I just think this is going to be really marvellous for Ashington.
Good, excellent, thank you. All right, so that's been proposed, seconded and all voted on, so we can now move on. Thank you very much for that exciting news for Ashington. Agenda item 7 is around the Blythe Extra Care Facility. I'm going to ask Eve to tell us a little bit about this, please.
Thank you, Leader. After a commissioned report, it is obvious that we do not have enough provision within the county to provide extra care facilities, which are slightly different to current facilities. They just provide additional care for particular needs. It is very costly to do this, so we're asking that the Cabinet agrees to agree up to £10.83 million of the deep dive fund that we have available to actually provide a facility. This facility would be in Blythe, Delaval Terrace. At present, we own a lot of social housing on that street that is not in a good condition. It does need to be demolished. The idea would be that we would demolish those particular properties along with 2 privately owned properties if we can agree a sale on that, as well as the Scout Hut. If that was to be so, we could create a site that had around 64 units on that particular site, with the ability to potentially increase that to 70 with the purchase of additional property in the future. The 64 sites would provide that additional care for people who are currently in other forms of residential areas that is just not quite suited to their needs. They are getting more than adequate care, but this is just better. And we want the best care that we can for these particular adults. These adults range from anybody who has dementia to particular learning difficulties, sometimes head injuries and so on, that just require that little bit of different type of care. With our residents who have dementia, currently a lot of them are being cared for at home. They have carers that come in. That is a very costly exercise, and they only get a certain set amount of visits per day. Often that care is focused around the care that they have around them from their family, and not always the best for that actual person. They do an absolutely wonderful job, but this is just better. This is the best thing for our residents. In doing so, depending on the nature of the residents that we could have on this site, depending on their complex needs, the cost of their care varies. If they were to be on the site and we could pool our resources and give them the best on-site care, a conservative estimate of savings would be between £350,000 to £450,000, but could be upwards of £660,000. Within this, we know that we do not have the ability to staff and manage this facility, so we would be looking to procure a provider of that care. We would also be looking for that provider to provide care to the other sites that we have in mind to provide similar care facilities such as this. So the purpose of this particular agenda item is to do both agree the money from the deep dive fund and also to agree to procure that management company. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. There are a number of recommendations. Would you formally propose those?
I formally propose.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Patterson. Thank you. Can we take a vote first and then we'll go to the questions? Are you all in favour of this report? We are. So I think what's interesting is that this would not be happening if it hadn't been for the County Council securing £20 million from the Levelling Up Fund that the last government introduced in February 2023. It's as simple as that. So now that we've achieved that, and I must pay great acknowledgement to the officers who are involved in our regeneration economic growth team for actually getting this funding, and along with a lot of other funding. So I welcome that. I'm very grateful to them for that. What we want to do now, as you quite rightly say, is make this the very best, and that is what the plan is. There is a need for this type of accommodation, and I think this will be a splendid new investment. Are there any points that anybody would like to raise on this? Yes, Richard Weirman.
Thank you, Leader. Just to say, you essentially have covered it, but a huge thank you to two people in particular, to Michael Gove, who made sure that we got this funding, who came up and ran a workshop here going through the various themes, and actually at that workshop we lobbied him extensively and achieved the additional funding for Ashington as well, and as part of that push. And as well, someone who doesn't get nearly as much credit as he should for the work that he did in Blythe, Ian Levy, who was our fearless champion. There was no time where he wasn't in and around Westminster tapping someone on the shoulder, making the case for Blythe and making sure that we got all of these funds into that town. It would be a very different place if it wasn't for him.
I actually completely agree with that, and I'm sure everyone, if they cast to one side their political ideologies, would agree that Ian was a fantastic representative for Blythe, and we are truly grateful to him. Okay.
Leader, sorry.
Yes. Now on to extra care housing and procurement of care and support contracts. And it's back to you, Chicken, again.
Thank you. As I've clearly already stated, we as a council do not have the ability to staff and manage this particular set of care. So we are asking that we can start the process of procurement to actually find that caregiver for all of those sites. It is a lengthy process to get it absolutely right, but it is due to commence late 2026, so that is what we are looking permission for.
Excellent. Good. Thank you very much indeed. So there we are. That's the report, and the recommendations are there for the open framework, as you say. Are you proposing these? Yeah.
I am proposing this.
Okay, thank you. Second from Gordon Stewart. Thank you. Are you all in favour of this excellent plan of action? Yeah. Any questions or queries? Everyone happy? Okay, so when everybody's happy, we move on quickly. So, agenda item number 9. This is the financial performance so far of the beginning of the new year, and it is a summary, as we do every 3 months, of our financial performance. It is pretty standard fare. But what I wanted to do was to kind of highlight 1 or 2 areas which demonstrate again how important our 3 priorities are and why we are determined and continue to invest in our priority areas. Our capital programme this coming year will do a whole range of pages of investments that we're going to be undertaking, like investing in Otterburn First School, or looking at the Holt Whistle toilets and putting a new roof on. It will finalise the work that we've done in Craster for that marsh that you have been going on about for some time. So little jobs across the county, but also, as well as that, the major spending that we're seeing. So, for example, over 3 million on improving our council housing stock. We have spent millions on investment in car parks in our town centres, and they remain free. They remain free to park in town centre car parks for our residents. We have built new car parks in Morpeth, in Hexham, in Amble and elsewhere, and that is something that we are going to have to continue to be committed to in terms of free car parking for residents, and we will continue, no matter how difficult the settlement is, to maintain free car parking for residents in our town centre car parks. So what else have we spent money on? Well, we've invested in new schools. At Seaton Valley, the new school is now open. It has young people in it today, and we will be going along and hopefully inviting the MP to share in celebrating the investment that the County Council have made there. And also, of course, the new school in Amble has taken shape, literally, and we can see what that's going to look like. Shortly, and hopefully in a special cabinet meeting, if not then in October, depending if we can get that report ready. But I'm hoping it might be a special meeting soon to introduce our plans for Berwick and the new school there, and what it's going to look like, and how we, as the County Council, are going to be investing in it. You may say it's strange that the County Council is investing in new schools, but if we don't do it, those schools might get patched up, but we think that we need to be investing in new schools. So in terms of council tax and value for money, that's something that we will continue to do. Not least, of course, everyone, no matter how strong a critic you might be of this administration, must admit that our roads in Northumberland have been hugely improved by the extra money that we put into them. And we are investing in our transformation project to make sure that we do everything more efficiently, more effectively, and we maintain an efficient organisation, a multi-million-pound organisation, and it's our role to make sure that we do that. So we saved over 7 million last year. We will be saving more than that this coming year. So much of this Cabinet is funded through the normal council process of borrowing power. And I think there's a little bit of confusion around what this actually means. So all councils have a cap on borrowing. Our cap is over £1 billion. We have, at the moment, reached 59% of our cap. That figure is £820 million. I think, in order to give a little context, I think it's important to realise that while we are 826 million now, which is a figure that's coming down, we inherited in 2017 a figure of 761 million pounds. I think if you compare it to other councils, some, quite close, like Newcastle, that has 643 million pounds of borrowing. South Tyneside has £730 million of borrowing. So all in all, it's quite clear that we are comfortably within the borrowing power that has been set. That is what councils do, and that allows us to continue to invest in those things that provide value for money for our residents. And it's incredible to think that so many councils had to go to government in the last 12 months asking for bailouts financially, while we are very strong financially. And that's something that's been backed up by external auditor. That's something that's been backed up by independent peer review. So I think everyone should hopefully be clearer on that. But what we are going to do is hold a special members meeting to allow a discussion, explanation around borrowing power to take place, so that hopefully there won't be any more confusion on it. So that's really where we are at the moment. And this paper covers some recommendations and talks around some of the detail, but I'm proposing those recommendations, and hopefully I will have a seconder. I do have a seconder, Councillor Wilmer. Are you all in favour of these recommendations? Yes. So can we have any discussion now? Any questions or queries? Yes, Councillor Anna Thompson.
I've got no questions.
Right, so tell us where we are with the Berwick project then.
The Berwick School project is going along nicely, and we have a meeting with our Member of Parliament and various other interested parties very shortly, because we continue to demand that the government stump up their fair share of the funding for that project. Berwick School is in need of £30 million of maintenance just for the buildings to stand still. And our argument is the Department of Education should give us that £30 million to contribute to the build. So we continue to lobby government for that. The paper that you'll get later in the month sets out the design options that have been approved by the community and the various tendering options for the various different builders that will build the school to have it open as soon as possible for the children of Berwick.
Excellent. I thank you, and I thank our staff for spending a lot of time and effort and resource speaking to local people in Berwick, and the other schools, of course, that are involved in that Berwick Partnership reorganisation. Huge amount of effort there. But I think it must surprise people that we are finding the money to do this rather than the Department for Education. But that's what we're going to do, although we are knocking at the door of the Department for Education regularly, and probably being a tad annoying for them, but we're continuing that. We hope have you heard any word from our MP recently around his success or otherwise with the Department for Education?
No, and you know because you wrote to the Minister and he replied to us the other day. They currently have no plans to invest in Berwick School at this present time. But we will continue to lobby for it, and we can't do more than that. But even if this money doesn't come from government, we will find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, excellent. So thank you very much for that. Yes, Councillor Chicken, perhaps the Seaton Valley School, which
yes.
Did you go to school in Seaton Valley?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, for my sins. That's why I can't spell. To be honest with you, this is yet another thing that we should be really, really proud of as an administration. When I was a primary school child, I was told by the previous administration that I would be one of the first years to go to the new high school that they were going to build. That was over 30 years ago. They didn't get it done. We did. Again, another project that was promised to the residents of Seaton Valley for their children and was not delivered, but we delivered it. It has not been without its challenges, we all know that, but no project ever is. But the finished product is really something else. It's absolutely fantastic, and the fact that we have community facilities for the surrounding villages of Seaton Valley is fantastic. The amount of funding that has been put into the village of Seaton Valley just from this administration is absolutely outstanding. £50 million school and £12 million there or thereabouts on a train station. We have not got that from anybody else. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So it does make you think, even those two projects there amount to the difference between the inherited borrowing that we had and the borrowing figure that we have now. Interesting, never mind all the other projects that we've done. So hopefully there'll be clarity around that in the future. Okay, so we've... Yes, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. I think what you've just said there, it's about the investment across the county. And in Wooler, which is part of the Berwick Partnership, that's also seen investment bringing that school, but fit for purpose. It hasn't just been we're going to make the school fit for purpose. It's that open vision that the council has and the investment in the community that you've given us. So it's the school and the community aspects that's been added to the school property is really beneficial. So thank you for that. And yeah, it's the wider vision of rural impact as well as the larger high schools as well. It does make a difference in the rural area.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think Wooler needs to say thank you to you as well and to the excellent chair of the Parish Council for being such a pain, actually. Continuing to make sure that Wooler is at the top of the list when it comes to any investment. So well done to you, well done to her, and I'm very pleased that we're getting there. Okay, so thank you for that. We can move on then to agenda item 10, which is a summary of the new capital proposals. These are proposals that go through a process. They are considered by an officer at Capital Strategy Group. Then they come to us to decide whether we want to agree them or not. And of the capital proposals that we've looked at recently, these three have come through. One is around providing kitchen refurbishment for Hertford Bridge Travellers site, which we know about. The next one is the Woodhorn structural works, and I'm going to ask Councillor Patterson to tell us a little bit about the work at Woodhorn.
Thank you very much, Leader. Good morning, everyone. Northumberland's heritage is one of our key assets spanning ancient history through to the modern industrial era. A major site under our stewardship is the Woodhorn Museum, once a working colliery and now home to nationally important collections including the Ashington Group Pickman painters. The site includes two 1897 heapsteads, part of a scheduled monument as the best preserved example of late 19th, early 20th century colliery in the northeast. Inspections have unfortunately highlighted severe corrosion, I should say, to steel structures, staircases, walkways and landings. Sections have already fallen, creating serious health and safety risks, with large parts of the site fenced off. While some repairs have been made in recent years, the scale of deterioration now requires full refurbishment at a cost of £2.75 million. Officers have successfully secured £973,163 from Historic England's Heritage at Risk Capital Fund. The balance will be met from the Council's capital programme, including the Property Stewardship Fund. This investment will protect a nationally significant heritage asset, safeguard public safety and ensure that this site can continue to play its full part in Northumberland's cultural, tourism and community offer. So I would like to endorse the Officer Capital Strategies Group recommendation as set out in this report.
Excellent. That's a very, very good summary. Thank you for that. Yes, Woodhorn is a council-owned asset, as you said, and we are determined to make sure that it actually has a new lease of life. We have a new provider of the service, Tyne and Weir Museums.
North East Museums.
North East Museums. I thought it was Tyne and Weir Museums.
Well, North East Museums, as far as I'm aware, Glenn.
Oh, was it not Tyne? It was Tyne and Weir Museums.
They changed the name.
They changed the name. Typical.
Formerly known as.
Formerly known as Tyne and Weir
But we're
Museum.
very excited to work with them. Very
Yes,
excited
yes.
to
So
work.
here's £500,000 again in the Ashington area. So I hope certain members from Ashington don't continue to say we get nout, because here's another £500,000 on top of everything else. So I think it's the right thing to do to invest in our heritage, but make sure that we don't dwell on the past, but we look to the future as well. And then the final one is what's called gain share top-up vouchers, and Richard Wearmouth is going to be kind enough to explain what on earth this means.
Thanks, Glenn. So, yes, just as all of the projects in this paper, these are schemes that we discuss and instruct officers to consider, and they go and provide some of the substance behind that, and it comes here in order for us to approve as a Cabinet jointly. And this is the last of the ones in that paper. It's an additional £2 million for broadband top-up vouchers. Why is this important, and where's the money come from? The money comes, it's clear in the title, is from gain share. This is because we've overperformed as a delivery partner in the rollout of superfast broadband, and as a result, because there are revenues associated with that for British Telecom and others, we get some of the money back. And that money that comes back allows us to turbocharge still further that delivery in those difficult to reach parts of the county. And you'll appreciate, as a rural, representing a rural part of our county yourself, how difficult that can be for some of the rural parts of the county, something that Councillor Oliver would be championing were he here, because this obviously forms part of his remit. This will help some of those difficult to reach properties get onto superfast broadband. It's very welcome, and we look forward to seeing these funds deployed over the coming months and years ahead. And that's all I have.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I think it's extremely important that we continue the fight, and sometimes that's what it is, sadly, to provide the service that everyone should be entitled to and have in terms of a broadband service. And that living in a remote part of Northumberland should not mean that you can't have 21st century technology. So that is still, we still have around 3%, I think, of residents that are, and properties that can't be delivered yet, but we will continue on that. Yesterday, I was with Alancom, looking at a whole new set of masts along the East Coast Main Line, which is delivering two major benefits. One is to make sure that those people travelling on a train through Northumberland don't suddenly get cut off in the middle of a phone call, because they could be doing a deal, or they could be asking someone if they'd marry them. And then suddenly the phone goes and nobody might know the answer. So that's really important, but also very important, isn't it, to have those areas covered with broadband. So well done to Alancom, who are really good partners, I think, and doing a really good job. So there we are. Those are the three. Yes, please.
Sorry, just go back to the Hertford Bridge one.
Yes.
The Travelers site. It's a site that I think everybody in this vicinity will have driven past at some time, but obviously never had a chance to visit. I was lucky enough to visit there. It was either last year or the year before with Councillor Stewart to look at some issues they had. And I was pleasantly surprised when I got there of just how well run this site is, and how tidy it was, and how friendly the people were on the site. And I came away from there really amazed. And this is our primary site. We have a statutory duty to provide these sites. So the site's been there for 50 years. It was had any last major investment on the kitchen side of things 25 years ago. So small amount, £29,000 to provide 6 kitchen upgrades. So I'm totally supportive of it.
Yeah. Thanks very much. So there we are. Those are the three. I'm going to propose the three, seconded by Councillor Mather. Are you all in favour of those three projects? Great. Thank you very much indeed. We move on to our penultimate agenda item, which is the Food and Feed Safety and Standards Service Plan for this coming year, 25-26. I'm going to ask Councillor Stewart to give us a brief summary of what is a very large document running to 272 pages in a few sentences. Yes.
House has got a special offer on, because just spent an awful lot of money providing an update to Hexham House. So if anybody like to get married in Northumberland, Hexham House could be the place to go. So I'm now going to my report, Leader. You're absolutely right. It's a comprehensive report covering a very vital subject. It's vital because it impacts upon every single person who lives here, works here, and but for the challenging areas we've got to go to in a wide geographical area. We've got a similar number of residents as other local authorities, but the time taken between travelling from the bases for our officers and the others will be far more. So if you look at Newcastle City Centre, Civic Centre, people can go out there and go and visit lots of premises in a short time. We're very fortunate that our team have done a great job, but also thank all the businesses involved for doing their bit, because it tackles inequalities, which are one of our key priorities, and it supports tourism in various ways. Very deep report, lots of businesses, lots of schools we've been talking about here, kiosks. In the summer months, lots of these pop up along the coast elsewhere in the county. So there's a lot of key data there in section 7 for people to refer to if they wish, but we must remain alert to the continuing challenges that exist, and these have been factored into the new plan. For example, the ongoing difficulty in recruiting qualified staff. We know when people come to Northumberland, they absolutely love working here because it gives so much to offer, but we are struggling at times. But we've taken up that challenge, and that's shown in the fantastic report we get. So therefore, I invite the Cabinet to approve and adopt the new plan set out in the appendix of this report.
Excellent, thank you very much. Are you proposing this, and seconded by Councillor Horncastle? Are you all in favour of this plan? You are. So any questions or points that anyone would like to raise within the report? I would just touch on page 198 and 99, which covers produced in Northumberland, which we know is has been very useful and is still useful as a way of marketing food produced in Northumberland, but also rural industries. We are investing significantly in rural business and rural business growth, and to advise and to provide advice and capital grants on that. Produced in Northumberland is going to, what actually has already been reviewed, and we're going to look at how we might make it even better going forward. And that's very much within this, and a project there that I want us to maintain the speed on, and Councillor Wearmouth is leading on that, so I know that he feels the same as I do, and we want to see hopefully a report coming very soon to Cabinet on producing Northumberland, along with our support for farming and the environment in general. Okay then, so it's been agreed. We can move on to our final report, which is about the school, isn't it? It's about a new constitution for the Standing Advisory Council for Religious Education, and the report of the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, which is none other than Councillor Renner Thompson, who's going to tell us what this means.
Well, you all know what it means because you all went to school, believe it or not. And now, the Standing Advisory Committee on Religious Education, which I have been a member of in the past, actually is quite an influential board. Yeah. Collective worship within schools is compulsory under the law, and the SACRE advises make local authority schools on how to fulfil their duties under the curriculum to provide collective worship and religious education. Now, this is very important to us in Northumberland. We have a great Christian history here in Northumberland. You talk about Lindisfarne, you talk about St Cuthbert, so it's something that we are quite keen to promote. On the board, the different religious denominations are represented. So you have the Catholics, you have the Church of England, you have the Jews, Muslims, you have everyone's on the board, but the law still states that it's sort of Christian collective worship that we have in our schools. And a little known theory is the reason that British people are very good at doing football chants in stadiums and singing at concerts is because we all sat down in assembly in primary school and learned how to sing together. And that is part of what the collective worship is. This is why everyone knows those hymns and everyone knows the Lord's Prayer in their head from when we were all little at first school and primary school. So it's not all councils have a sack rate. There is a sack rate for every local authority, but they're not always part of the council. Some are separate from the council. We've chosen to keep ours as part of the council because it's a valued part of what we do. So I hope you'll all just approve the new constitution as it is.
Now, this is marvellous. I mean, what an interesting fact that is.
Yes.
I suppose what I would say is if they learnt it at school, how to sing at school, why do they sing at football matches and include lots of naughty words that begin with letters that we don't like? Do they sing at Sunderland? I don't think so. Do they? Oh, right, okay. Okay, right. So they went to school there. Did they? Yeah. Okay, so there we are. So this is the recommendation is to approve the amended Sacre Constitution in the appendix to the report, which you've read. Are you proposing that?
Yes.
And it's seconded by Councillor Patterson. Are you all in favour of this new report? And are there any questions other than to question his notion that football chants started singing in school, which I think is absolutely the strangest thing I've heard from. I hear some strange things from you, but this is the strangest one so far.
So I thought the Americans aren't very good at it because they don't sing at school.
Oh, right, okay. Put us right on this one, Councillor Stewart.
Yeah, I'm just pleased it seems more weird than my advert for the Northumberland Weddings team. Be with great pleasure of mine to go on Friday with the other council of Horncastle to a Church of England primary school, where I know the head teacher and the parents are really looking forward to meet the new council for the area. What we find is that parents really do pick out church schools if they are available and they receive a different education, and my kids went through there and grandkids going through there as well. So I'll report back about the singing leader of who have been.
Okay, that's helpful. So just so we're all clear, there is a committee, isn't there, that's made up of members, but also representatives of various faiths, and together they form the kind of moral direction of schools. Is that right?
Well, not the moral direction.
Not the moral
direction. They set they advise the schools on what they need to do to fulfil their duties under the law with collective worship and religious education.
Okay.
So
sort of moral way forward.
Sort of. But quite a few of the members have to come from Newcastle because we don't have different faith groups in Northumberland generally.
Right, okay. Right, there we are. That's the end of the meeting. I've got no other business, so thank you very much indeed for coming and joining us.